Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Now it's just started to rain slightly outside, so I just made a pancake for breakfast. It's been really nice all week, and then it gets to the weekend and it's forecast for rain, and it's the only time I can get up the allotment now really, because it gets dark so early now. So I thought I'd brave it today, and tomorrow's supposed to turn out a little bit nicer hopefully, so fingers crossed, because there's just so much to do. I need to sow my overwintering broad beans. I also need to plant out some garlic, and I also need to plant out some tulip bulbs into the trough. But first things first, it's breakfast time. So I'll be planting my tulips in the trough this year. Now, earlier on in the year I put tomatoes in the trough, but they were a little bit of a failure, just because they got blight and also because I wasn't able to water them as often as they should have been really. So this will be the flower trough this year, with the gherkin at the end, because it grew really well there. So I have got two varieties of tulips. Now I actually brought a collection called Brandy Snap from Sarah Raven, so there's 20 of them, and then Sarah Raven also kindly sent me some of the vintage silk collection, and they're all in little individual bags so you know which variety's which in the collection. Now tulips like full sun and well drained soil, so this trough is perfect because it gets the sun all day, when it's sunny of course, and also because before I brought the trough up here I drilled some holes in the bottom, so there's plenty of drainage there. Now it's November now, and it's best to plant tulips in October or November after a frost has been. Now we've actually had a really mild autumn this year, and we only had a frost a couple of days ago. Now it's best to plant them when there's been a frost, just because the frost will kill off all the fungal diseases that are in the soil, so it'll give the tulips more of a chance. So I'm going to put them in collection, so there'll be the Brandy Snap at the beginning. That's this one here. Now I'll be planting them at 8 inches deep, which is a little bit deeper than most people plant them, but that's because it will just mean I won't need to stake them later on, and it also gives them more of a chance to flower year after year as well. Now I'll be planting all the tulips at the same depth. You can plant them in a lasagna bed, which just means that you plant your bulbs at 11 to 12 inches deep, and then you cover with about 3 inches of soil. Then you layer some more tulips on top at about 8 inches. That just means they will come out at different stages, so you get a nice succession of bulbs. But I'll be planting these all at the same depth, just because I want them to all come out at the same time. And hopefully it will look really, really nice. So I'm going to use just this old hazel stick, just to use as a dibber. Now you can dig a trench, but because I've got quite a lot to do, I'm going to just use a dibber to make a little hole. So it's at 8 inches deep and 3 inches apart. Now you put them in with the pointy end pointing up, and then just backfill with soil. Now I've got about just under 60 bulbs to plant, and it's stopped raining, so I'm going to try and get them in as quick as possible before it starts raining again. So that's 54 tulip bulbs planted now. And what I've done is I've just made a little plan of the trough, and I've written down how many rows there are and which variety is in which row, just so it's a little bit easier when they come up that I know which variety is which. Now I've put 2 rows of spring green from the vintage silk mix, 2 rows of mistress grey, 2 rows of grown land, and 2 rows of apricot beauty. They're all from the vintage silk mix. And then there's 5 rows of the brandy snap collection. Now they were all just in a mix in the bag, so I don't know obviously which is which, because I think there's about 3 different varieties in that collection. But hopefully it's going to look really nice. Now you're probably thinking that's quite a lot of tulip bulbs, and it is, but I'm really hoping to grow more flowers this year, and hopefully it'll look really nice, and I can't wait till springtime now. And there's also plans with this trough, is what I might do is when the tulips have stopped flowering, because obviously they're stopped flowering and they'll be finished by May, June, there's plans to maybe grow a courgette or a pumpkin in here, or maybe put some dahlia tubers in as well, just to layer it up as well, because obviously once the tulips are gone it will look empty and it's the main growing season then, so it'll be nice to put something else in the trough when the tulips are gone. So I'm just going to leave that now and wait until springtime. So I've just arrived at the allotment just to spend the day up here, because it's quite a nice day today and there's lots to do. I opened up the shed door and I was greeted with this. A half-eaten tulip bulb. Now I think a mouse has got him and he's helped himself to some tulip bulbs. And also I had a sunflower head on the side there, and he made a nice little home inside. Now I've just checked around the whole shed and there aren't any holes in the actual shed, but we have noticed that the door has dropped slightly, and as you can see when it's locked there is a nice little gap here, and you can also see that there's some claw marks and over here as well. So Mouse has obviously decided to shelter from the rain inside my shed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a quick tidy, make sure it's all nice and clean, and then what I'll have to do is maybe fix the door, but for now I'll probably just lean something up against it just to cover up that gap there. So I'm going to tidy it before I get on with anything else. Where is he? I definitely saw him. I'm not even joking. He was definitely there.
Are we hanging on to this deer lock?
I definitely saw him and he was definitely moving.
Biscuit in there?
Yeah, my custard creams were open, look. He chewed the custard creams. He's been having... And look at all those sunflower seeds.
Yeah,
oh my god.
That's his little house.
Oh, I bet he's been in there all this time and I've been sat in there. Where is he? He can't just have vanished. What? Is he there?
I don't know.
He's not in there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he isn't.
No. God, I did not plan to do this today. Oh God, it made me jump.
Keep doing that.
Sorry. But I am not keeping biscuits in there anymore.
No biscuits? Yeah, keep them in a...
Where is he then?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
He must have got out just now. Is that dry? Oh!
Oh!
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
You get that on camera, did you?
Where?
Oh, there he is. Look, look, look. Oh, he's gone back under your shed.
Oh my God!
Oh, that made me jump.
Oh no!
He's a little mousey.
What am I gonna do?
He must have been in that drawer somewhere, mustn't he? Well, yeah, he must have been because it was empty on it.
Yeah. So now we've sorted out the mouse dilemma in the shed. I managed to take everything out, tidy it all up and put it away again. And I've taken all the cups and things home to wash, just because there might have been a mouse in them at some point. So they're going to be washed and everything's been put back in now. So hopefully the mouse won't get back in. Hopefully. I do feel a bit sorry for him because obviously winter's coming now and it was a nice warm home for him to live in, but it's my shed and he was eating my biscuits, so I wasn't very happy. What we've done just for now is we put a bit of wood just against the side of the shed inside by the door frame, just to block off that little gap there, which is how we think the mouse was getting in. But obviously I'm going to have to try and fix that door somewhere because I really don't want the mouse to live in there. But now that's done and dusted, it's time to sow some broad beans, is what I originally came up here to do today. Now I'm sowing some broad beans called Aqua Dulce Claudia. Now I sowed these last year in November and they were really, really great. They're really hardy, so they're perfect for overwintering, and we had such a good crop of them in the springtime. And of course you get a nice early crop of broad beans, which is great. Now what I'm going to do this year is I'm only going to sow one row of broad beans, just because last year we had such a big glut of them. Because I sow them and my dad sowed some broad beans as well, we were overloaded with broad beans, and we got a little bit sick of them in the end because we were just eating so many of them. So I'm just going to put one row in and see how that fares us this year. Now they need to be planted 2 inches deep and then 4 inches apart. Now I'm going to use this dibber, which is just a spade handle. Oh, and it's best to plant them with that little split there, just to the side, on the side, and just backfill it. Now I'm going to use a ruler, but you can guess what 4 inches is really. It's not too far apart. Now it's actually best to, well, it's usually best to sow broad beans in double rows, which are 10 inches apart. But like I said, we had so many broad beans last year, so it's just going to be the one row this year. I'm just using this line here just to make the sowing of the broad beans as neat as possible, because I like to be neat in the allotment. And then obviously if they're in a straight line, you know that all the things that are coming up in that line are going to be broad beans and not weeds. Now you need to protect the broad beans seeds from the mice, because they like to take the seeds out and eat them. And because I've obviously got mice on my plot, it's going to be a little bit tricky, so what I might do is just sow a few extra, just in case the mice decide to eat them. So this is where the garlic will be going. Now, because the bed that used to be the bean bed is going to be the chicken and the flower patch now, I had to divide this area here where the fence is and up to the hazel archway. I had to divide that into 3 beds so I could rotate them. Now the bed near the hazel archway is going to be the potatoes and the root bed. And then it's going to be the bean bed where I've just put the broad beans. And then this bed is going to be the brassicas. Now the allotment is still quite chock-a-block. There's leeks here and the Swiss chard. There's 2 rows of carrots under this netting here. They will be overwintered. There's 1 row of carrots left next to it. I just sown the broad beans next to that, and then next to that there's kale, there's flower sprouts and there's red cabbage. So it's all pretty much full up. So the only area where the garlic can go really is here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig up 2 rows of Swiss chard. Now, I don't really want to dig up the Swiss chard, but obviously there's nowhere for the garlic to go and it has to go in now. And also because I'm just inundated with Swiss chard at the moment. And we've actually got plans to make some Swiss chard quiche with the 2 rows I dig up today. So it will be going to good use. But it's done brilliantly. I really love Swiss chard, but there's just too much of it. So I'm going to dig up these 2 rows and then I will put the garlic in. Right, so the bed's all ready for the garlic to go in now, and here it is. Now I bought the garlic bulbs from a place called the Garlic Farm, which is on the Isle of Wight. Now I originally thought if the Isle of Wight can grow this type of garlic, then surely I can as well, because I'm just across the water there in Southampton. So hopefully, fingers crossed, because last year I tried to grow garlic. It was a complete failure. And I think that's actually due to the amount of water that we had, because obviously garlic likes good drainage and they don't like to be hanging around in really, really wet soil. So, and we had a lot of rain last year, so I think I blame that anyway. Now this variety is called Provence White, and it's a relatively large garlic. It's not as large as elephant garlic, but the bulbs do grow quite large, as you can see. Now I've already opened 1 bulb. I bought 2 bulbs altogether because I wasn't entirely sure on how many rows I wanted. and one bulb gave me 10 cloves. Now the cloves are really quite big, which I'm quite pleased with. Hopefully it gives them more of a chance. So if this one here gives me 10 bulbs, that means obviously I'll have 20 bulbs, which would hopefully fit in one row. I've measured it all out and should give me one complete row of garlic. Now you need to be careful when taking the cloves out of the garlic. Be careful not to bruise them or damage them, because obviously there's less likelihood of a chance that they grow. Now I like to remove most of the outside peely skin. Right, so that's 2, 4, 6, 10 again, which is great. So there's 20 cloves of garlic altogether. So now let's go and put them in. Right, so let's get this garlic in before it turns pitch black, because it's about 4 o'clock now and it gets dark at about 20 past 4, so I better do this quite quickly. Now actually the garlic farm sent me this little leaflet when you buy the garlic, and it's really handy. It has a calendar from September until August on what to do and when to fertilise them and when to add sulphate of potash and things like that, so it's really handy and I'm going to swear by it this year, so I'm going to keep it in my pocket close by at all times. Now when you plant the garlic, you need to plant it pointy end up, so the roots are at the bottom, and some of these you can see the roots actually starting to grow out now, so it's pointy side up, and it needs to be about 3 to 4 centimetres below ground level, so I'm planting them at about 2 inches deep, so then there's about 4 centimetres from the top of the garlic. And then once they're roughly 3 to 4 centimetres below the ground level, they need to be 6 inches apart. So like I said, I'm planting them at roughly 2 inches deep. I'm making a 2-inch hole with a dibber actually. So then there's the recommended amount of space above the garlic, which is 3 to 4 centimetres. And then 6 inches apart, pointy end up, and then backfill. Like I said, I've got 20 garlic cloves here, which will hopefully fit perfectly in this row. If I've got any left over, then I might pop a couple in some plant pots. And what I might actually do with the garlic, because it got so wet last year, there's plans to make some crushes to go over here, over the row of garlic, and hopefully that should stop most of the rain, and then obviously in dry periods I can take it off and water it. But they just got so wet last year, and it wasn't mild. It wasn't cold enough. I mean, it was too mild last year, because garlic needs at least 10 weeks, I think it is, at below a certain temperature, so that the actual garlic bulb can split into cloves. Otherwise, if it's too warm, then you just get one big clove of garlic. So hopefully we get some snow this year, and hopefully not loads of rain, and then hopefully the garlic will be okay. So that's done. I'm really pleased that I've finally managed to get the tulips and the broad beans and the garlic in, because I was panicking a little bit just because it's halfway through November now, and I really wanted them in at the beginning of November really, but at least they're in now and I could focus on the other things like planting the grapevine and planting some herbs and getting the chicken area ready. There's still so much to do, but at least all the weeds will hopefully be starting to die off soon. So now if you dig things over, you can leave them for the winter, and then hopefully the frost will come and it will break up all the soil for you, and it will be great next year. So the jobs are lessening slightly, but there's just a few things that I need to do while it's still quite mild. So I'm sure there will be another video very shortly, but that's it for this one. So I am going to head home in a minute because it's getting dark. So thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.